Major moves. We going all in, like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.
Welcome back to my channel. I want to thank you guys for actively deciding to spend time with me. I'm just a guy in a Spider-Man mask, a cool one I might add. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just providing information and content already on the internet, and I just read it and present it to you guys in a way that may reach you or may not reach you. Whatever the reason is you found my page, I'm grateful you're here, and thank you for spending time with me. Let's get into this. What is up, everybody? I'm Mr. Man. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I think, is going to be a little different than, I know it's going to be a little different than usual days where I go on my tangent here, show you guys some information. Today, I got some heartfelt, feeling I want to emanate and relay with you guys here. I was having a conversation with one of my followers. I had the conversation here. It is right here. This was with No Drift 9503. And I'll tell you what he said, and then I'll show you the video that he said it under. And then I want to get real with you guys. Let's do some heart-to-heart here. Let's have a real open show today here, where you guys can see me. Layers pulled back, and this is me. I'm an empathetic individual here. Empathic individual here. I catch things on a feeling level, but at the same time, it's a controlled emotion. It's not the emotion leads me, but I can understand the emotion going into something based on the fact that I am an empath. I can feel that, and if I endure too much feeling throughout the day from people around me, from just sometimes too many things around me, it's like, I need to pull away, I need to go dark, and this needs to be on my own. It's too much stimulation all around. I'm not a fan of it. I like to be in my own world. Anyways, this is it here, what he said. He's like, damn, we have a long way to go. I am, however, convinced they'll roll these out pretty quickly. So, I have some information on that here. All right, but let me just show you what I had said here. Actually, let me play the video first, and then I'll show you what I had said.
You can't enjoy a thing for what it is. So the obvious follow-up question is, we need to know what's next. So, talk a bit about your expectations of what you see sort of to come when it comes to the functionality of FedNow.
Absolutely. So, it started with, credit transfer, receive, a couple banks doing send. We were sending a couple credits. We did, as I mentioned, a couple requests for payments to a new endpoint that's on the FedNow network, which was great to see, to build that capability out. But I think across both networks, right, we're still early in both of the networks being used primarily as a credit transfer system. So, right, all the banks at a minimum or credit transfer receive endpoints. There's a few banks between both networks that are sending credits. So hopefully that continues to grow and we see more traffic and more use cases being sent. But there's even fewer banks that are actually doing requests for payments in production, using it for things like e-bills or e-invoices, or even using a request for payment to underpin use cases like e-commerce and point of sale, right, in the future, right? And then using that technology to provide instant payments to something that can be a nice alternative to other options in the market. So I think, it's going to be a waved and tiered adoption, in my opinion. We still, as I mentioned, have over 9,000 banks to go just to get them on one or both networks to be endpoints of the receive credit transfer, right? To get to a point where we can say as an industry and as a country that all of our accounts are eligible to get a payment 24/7, 365 instantly. That alone is a pretty steep mountain to climb, but we're going to get there gradually through working a lot of the TPSPs and bankers, banks, and technology providers. What I think is going to be really great is once we actually start getting more adoption on the request for payment side, right? When we start seeing a lot of the banks, especially the ones that are the retail banks owning the consumer experience, roll that capability out, because that's when it kind of really touches people in their day-to-day lives, right? You can get an email on their phone, you can make a payment, you can control your cash flow, you can really manage that liquidity, and it actually gives the account holder more access and control over their funds.
Imagine that, though. He's talking about requests for payments, and the way he discusses requests for payments, you can do things like invoicing at that point. I've listened to some of the invoice, I want to say, pitches, if you will, from companies to other entities there in terms of how they're going to be invoicing. And when invoicing and a request for payment comes now at that point, the request for payment will act as an intermediary in that point. So you have something that you need to invoice to somebody, you send it to them, and they're the ones who go after it, not in the traditional way. They bring some guy with a bat, break your leg, you know. But they go in it electronically. Like there's terms on there now that are agreed upon within this smart contract in terms of this invoice here. So you have an intermediary. Like, it's going to be a connected system. It's going to be huge, huge, huge. And when that finally reaches you and me of the world, you better believe this is going to be a coming to Jesus moment. You better believe it's going to be a coming to Jesus moment. All right. I was born Seventh-day Adventist Christian. I was Christian most of my life, and when I reached 30-ish, something in my life had changed, or I had went a different direction at this point and said, I need to figure things out on my own right now. So I did. I went to go and learn so much. I started working out. I stopped drinking alcohol. I was doing yoga. I'd gone back to school, and that's how I ended up in aviation management. To give you guys more of an in-depth about my life, I consider myself a good person, a good-hearted person, and I would do anything for anybody if you prove to me that you are somebody worth my anything for anybody. So I was in the school board in Southern Ontario, and to get into the school board, so I was a youth worker for 10 to 12 years of my life. I was I don't know what the term is anymore, a child youth worker, whatever, CYW, there we go, for a group home. And I was a fantastic individual in this group home. I worked there at this one group home for 2 years. And then another group home, I worked there for 10 years. And then after those 10 years, I had jumped into the school board. And to get into the school board, I needed credentials. I needed a diploma. I didn't have a diploma. I had 10 years experience in my life. But people that had gone to school for 2 years were able to get a job, and I wasn't. And I wanted to get into the school board because you actually got paid there. In a group home, you don't get paid. You're there to help the company make the money, essentially. It's a terrible place. It's a terrible thing to say. And I'm just talking from my experience. I'm not talking about any particular place at all, okay? None. So, that being said, I wanted to get into the school board. So I had gone through the emotion and understanding and said, I'm going to do it. And I forged my diploma. I had given the school board a faulty diploma. But based on my experience, who I was, our interview, they loved me. They enjoyed who I was. And like 2 days later, they had called me back after checking references, and I got a job at the school board. I had worked there for 2 years. And at the end of the last year, I got called into the office, and they had asked me, what's up? Can we see your diploma again? So at that point, you better believe my heart was thumping, just thumping. I had no control of it. I had no control of my breath. I didn't know what I was doing. I was in my late 20s-ish, mid-20s to late 20s at that point in my life. And I said, fuck it, pardon my language. I said, whatever. So I spoke to one of my boys who was able to connect me with a friend of his out west in Alberta and got me into the oil fields. So that I understand what I did. Don't think I'm trying to come across and say, it's all. No, I'm not at all. I admit to what I had done. I had tried to get me a job based on my experience, but because I didn't have a diploma, I wasn't good enough in somebody's eyes to the school board. So I had falsified my documents. I understand that. Documents, whatever. But I had gotten in. With blockchain, I can't do that now. but I had gotten in, and they enjoyed who I was. It was just the diploma thing that got me wrecked, if you will. So my boy got me out west to Alberta. I was in oil fields. I cleared all of my debt. You make money out there like it's nothing. That's why a lot of the young people out there do drugs. I was with this one guy. Holy shit, story of my life, on a rig, on a rod rig, a smaller rig. And while we were out there, this man drank a 12 to 24 pack, did lines of coke on the dashboard, and I'm just behind him. Dear God, keep me safe. Like, I had learned some stuff about myself at that point. Like, what I'm saying? Like, I went on a fucking journey to figure out who I am. And thank God I'm still here. There's no reason I have to be here. I had done some dumb shit in my life. Dumb shit. So I cleared my school. I cleared all of my personal debt, and I'd gone back to school, aviation management. And at that point, my motivation and my goal was I either go finish school and learn as much as you can to get into whatever you're going to get into, or you're going back to your old life. Like, what else do you know? I'm not saying it's easier to go back to my old life, but it's just I don't have to do anything to get back to my old life. If I do nothing, I go back there. If I do something, I change it at least. So while going through school in aviation management, I had passed all 3 years on the dean's list each quarter because I told myself it's either I'm doing something different with my life or I'm just falling back into that one without even trying. So, aviation management. My second year, I had a co-op with this company for air ambulance. And they were rotor wings, so that's a helicopter. And while working with that company, I had learned a tremendous amount within that quarter, those 4 months. Enough that on the next round, during my last co-op, I had gone to the co-op up north and worked for that company that I work for now. So my last year, while I was working for them, they had created a position for me, and that's how I found myself up here. That's how I met Andrea. That's how I fell in love with her. That's how we're now engaged. But, so that's a bit about me. So, now that you know a bit about me, who I am, where I come from, I've shown you guys my onion, my internals now. You know who I am. I have nothing to hide but my face itself because I want to be unknown. I enjoy it, you know, it's a little mystery to it. So, just going back now to the comment that one of the followers, hitting stuff, that one of the followers had made. And now my reply to him. Your business cannot function. So if these businesses don't roll over to this new standard that's implemented at that point, you have to be on that, you're not going to survive. Like, you will not survive in this new jungle, this new world that's being created. If you cannot meet that standard, that minimum standard, you have no business operating within that realm at all. Your business will die if you don't catch on to that. All right, for these FIs, these guys are the guys at the top, and what they do and don't do trickle down to us. So at this point, use case will accelerate, and the exponential rise in adoption because money is being made and scaled on an exponential uptrend at that point. Once the nostros can be removed as trapped liquidity because the central banks now use their CBDC to move their money and have wholesale FX swaps with the crypto as the mechanism, oh boy, you better buckle up. Buckle the up. All right, let me continue reading. Okay, I'm smiling as I type this message. It's going to be epic. I'm like, your heart will move faster. I say, bear, your heart will beat faster than it's ever beat. You'll have a hard time breathing. Why will you have a hard time breathing? Because you gave yourself a plan to implement. And if you do not know your plan, your heart is going to be just beating out of your chest. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel it in your throat. What do you do? What do you do? What's the first thing you do? Do you implement a plan? Do you try to control your breath? Do you run around your house? Do you leave work? What do you do at that point? Where are you? What's going on in your life? It's not going to be just an epic boom and spike up. Actually, it may be just a complete spike up. And I'll show you why afterwards it might be a spike up. I'm not saying a spike up into infinity, but it'll be a good spike up once that liquidity is freed. Once it is freed. All right? You'll have a hard time breathing. You're in disbelief. So you keep watching. Your eyes will not leave that phone or that screen, whatever you are watching, whatever device you have, you will not leave that. You will sit there and watch that. If you're at work, you're not leaving. You want to see what's going on. You're not driving. I need to see what's going on. That can cause you some shit. Cause me some shit. I'm hopefully not working at that point. But, oh my God. If I'm working, you better believe I'm not working. Like, I'm glued to that screen. This screen right here, I'm glued to this screen. All right? Do you implement your strategy or do you hold? Right? Do you like, you've just forgot. Your mind is empty at that point. What do? Do you have a strategy to implement? Do you not have a strategy to implement? Did you plan for this? A lot of people fail to plan, so they plan on failing. You need a plan, all right? You need one. At that point, when your face is legitimately melting because you're experiencing something you've never felt in your life, a joy and a disbelief and an upsetness and a frustration and a happy, and you're crying and you don't know what to do because you've never seen money like this in your life before. What do you do? What do you do? How do you react when it begins that pullback? What do you do? Do you have a plan? All right. This will be a coming to Jesus moment. Real life decisions at that point will need to be made. Let's fucking get this money. All right. What is your plan? What's going on? Now that I asked you that question, I feel like I'm in church right now and I'm preaching to you guys here, singing to the choir here, preaching to the choir here, because you guys already know. I know you have a plan. And if you don't, I'll give you a contact to my mentor and he can help you get set up with the plan. My guy is Cypres D, and he is helping me with my plan. I'm taking his trading course and I'm learning as quick as I can. You know, I do as much studying as I can and I'm learning as quick as I can. There's times I'll watch like 6-7 videos in a day, just in the morning before work right now. And I still find time to work out, and I find time to study and find time to make these videos too still. So where is it? Okay, so now that we had that heart to heart and you guys know who Mr. Man is, you know, I bared my secrets to you guys here. These are things I don't talk about with people. Why? Because there's no need to, but I understand what I've done in my life. Not all the choices I've made have been the best, but whatever I've done had got me to where I am today, be in front of you guys here, helping you learn about certain things like real estate, cryptocurrencies, because I understand things a lot differently than than many other people. You know, everybody has their own insight and their own view to things. So if you learn, you can begin to form your own opinion based off of what you learn. So I'm no smarter than anybody else. I just take in information a little differently. That's all. There's things I have a hard time learning because it's not taught in a manner that I can understand. So, but a lot of the things, the concepts that they're discussing here, I can understand as best as I can and then relay the message to you guys. Anyways, this is Dilip Rao of Ripple here. He helped create the Ethereum CBDC here. Not create, I guess, the proof of concept there using Ethereum. And that's who he is. So this was last year, I believe it is. And here he's talking about what it's going to be like, not when you experience that moment, but when you are living through that moment and the country's economies and GDPs begin to rise at that point. As it begins to rise, listen to what he's talking about and put yourself in there now. Inject yourself into that. And imagine how you would feel as this is happening. Listen to what he says and put yourself into this, okay? Where's the mouse? Sorry guys, I can't see shit. I can't see shit. Okay. I don't know. What the there we go. Okay, hold on. There we go. Okay.
Dilip, who needs no introduction, but for that maybe one person that doesn't know you, Dilip heads up Nomad at World Bank, but more importantly, I think really the one person that has his pulse on what is happening with all the migrants. So Dilip, thank you so much for your time and welcome to this podcast, I guess. So Dilip, you've just released, interestingly, the data regarding remittances. And I think it would be great to, we've all read your publication. I know you've been doing a lot of interviews and webinar, but I wanted to get your firsthand sort of explanation and reaction to the data. So it would be great if you can share your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Mohit. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Um, some surprises from the latest data release on remittance flows worldwide. We monitor data, as you know, remittance flows and migration flows on a daily basis. Actually, you could say even on an hourly basis. And yet we were surprised at the resilience that we observed in the data. So remittance flows proved to be way more resilient than we had anticipated. So they fell only by 1.6% in 2020 to $540 billion. And that's only $8 billion lower than the 2019 level, which was a record level to start with. So
Right.
that was the big surprise. And that's the headline number, which means that a quick dip in the second quarter last year and kind of recovery after that. And the recovery would continue. So looks like in 2021, we would break out of the negative zone and there'll be a positive growth of 2.6%. And perhaps next year as well, there'll be a growth of just over 2%.
Yeah, I mean, great, really encouraging news, given what we've all gone through and experiencing. But I wanted to just go back, Dilip. I remember when we, spoke back in April, and when this thing had just started, we were looking at a 20% fall. I think that number was pleasantly revised back in October to sort of 7.2%, and now 1.6. So while I think it's great that the impact has been as little as 1.6, what were some of the reasons that there was such a big variance? Acknowledging that this is a pandemic and it's so difficult to forecast in normal times, but what would your thoughts be on that?
So exactly the kind of question that I would have liked to pose, which we were posing and we have answered in the report that we have put out. The report is called Migration and Development Brief 34. So it's the 34th in this semi-annual series, which basically means that I have been doing this for 18, 19 years now. So yes, so with that long hindsight, the V-shaped recovery is really surprising. Again, to put things in perspective, and I'll come to your question right away. In 2009 global financial crisis, I remember kind of sticking my neck out, as they say, like this, and waiting to be choked by anyone, including perhaps the senior management of the World Bank, for going out and saying in 2008, before the 2009 global financial crisis, that remittances would not fall by much. And at that time, we had the reasoning that migrants try to help families, and that is what will actually cause the flows to be much more resilient during 2009 global financial crisis. And sure enough, 2009 remittances fell 5%, and then 2010 they were already higher than the pre-crisis level. 2020 COVID-19 crisis was way bigger, larger, deeper, more broad-based, more intimate. It reached to household levels, right? It separated family from family members. It was that impactful. So we were expecting all bad things to hit remittance flows and migratory flows, to disrupt the flows. And the surprise is that the recovery, which initially we were thinking 2020, a 20% fall, maybe a 5% recovery in 2021. That was our April forecast. Remember, we made that like before the end of April.
Right.
In October, we realized that this, Q3, Q4, the data were already getting a little better. So we said, okay, it will not be like a 20% fall, 5% improvement in 2021. It would be 7.2% fall and another 7% fall.
Right.
In the end, it would be the same sort of level, so it is gradual fall. Now what we see is 2020 second quarter, a sharp drop, more than 20%. And in many, many countries, like Bulgaria, 86% fall. In many, many countries, it was 40, 50% fall. Right. And then, surprisingly, the V, the deep point of the V became very narrow and it was a quick recovery in third quarter and fourth quarter, and it has continued into the first quarter of 2021. Again, the surprise there is the counter-cyclical fiscal policies, the cash transfer programs that were put in place on a massive scale, the employment support programs that were put in place in a massive scale. The largest host country in the world is United States, and that's an example. But it happened all over the world, and that was the surprise that no model could predict, right? Because a political thing is a question of ability, and that, by the way, remains also a risk that we cannot forecast going forward. So that 2.6% increase this year is subject to whether the countercyclical fiscal policies will have steam or not.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But I think just let's start.
Woo! Dear God, help me, Jesus. Save me now. Tell me you guys heard that. Did you just hear Dilip give you the game plan on what happened during 2020 and 2021, and how it hit that sharp curve and just boom, it completely blew their expectations out of the water. Just blew it out of the water. Right? For the emerging economies here, just blew it out of the water. Oh, just wait till that you have that experience, right? And that kind of growth that he saw in that 1 year. That 1 year sharp drop, and then that boom, the next year just coming to Jesus moment. Let's go back full circle now. How will you feel? Will you be ready to implement your plan? Do you have a plan? I need to go over mine again. I need to go on over mine and study it and make sure that I know it. I need to figure out what my plan is, right? That's what you need to be asking yourself. So, for all you guys who don't have a plan out there, for all you guys who have a plan but might have a hard time implementing it because your emotions get the best of you, because you have a hard time leading your emotions, right? Emotions can take control, and if your emotions lead you, you will not make decisions that you intended to make because your emotions led you. Whether that's happy, sad, mad, overjoyed, whatever. Take that second, pull away from that event, take a breath, see how you feel, come to a conclusion on how you feel. Don't let that feeling just tell you how you feel because it's overtaken you. You tell it how you feel. You tell yourself what you're going to do with your plan, and you implement your plan. Have control of yourself. Believe me, I will have that coming to Jesus moment too. Believe me, I will. So just like I'm asking these questions to you guys here, I'm asking them to myself too. I need to make sure I'm ready for this when it happens. I need to make sure I have a plan. I'm going to give you guys Cypress's link down below there. Give them a call if you want to learn how to trade and to learn how to read the charts like it's a book. Read it like English, if you will. I love you guys. I hope you got something from this. I'll catch you on the next one.
Making major moves. We going all in. Like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.